For my Leija trousers, I'm working with recycled bed linen, and I would like to now share some of my knowledge with you when it comes to working with recycled textiles. And it also has to do with the story of the Leija pants and the actual design. So before the magazine, I was actually working with the other founder, Kaisa, of TAUKO Magazine for our fashion brand. And the fashion brand was based on using recycled materials for the production of the designs that we made. And Leija pants were one of the first designs that we made. In the very beginning, we worked with textiles from home, so like from old curtains or something like this, and we used those textiles to make the designs. But as we developed, we wanted to find materials where we could make the collections from bigger batches, and ended up, after going around and around, to work with textile companies who rent textiles for hotels and hospitals. And this bed linen here, actually, that I have, is from a Finnish hospital. So it was used in a Finnish hospital, which rents these textile services from textile companies who wash and maintain and take care of the textiles for them. So in the hospital, when the bed linen are used, they toss them into a big basket, and then they are washed and being brought back to them clean and nice and neat. Of course, what happens then during the time is that there are some defaults in the textiles, and the hospitals cannot use them anymore. Just as a side note, hotels work the same way. So any kind of a big institution that use a lot of textiles, like hotels or also restaurants where there are a lot of tablecloths, they use these textile service companies who maintain the textiles for them. What this means is that there's a lot of these kind of textiles, and for us as a fashion brand, going back to the story, was that we could use these textiles in big amounts. And we started to look into the textiles and seeing what would work for us. These bed linen are of very high quality because they have to be washed and washed and washed again. They are usually polycotton. Polyester makes textiles more durable. It's plastic, it's oil-based synthetic fiber. So in that sense, you could say that it's not so good for the environment. However, when you have a textile that has different fibers in it, it is quite difficult still at the moment to recycle. Monofibers are easier. So if you buy new textiles, it is very good to buy something that is 100% cotton, for example, or 100% polyester, but not a mixed fiber. These textiles are out there already. So what is the best thing that we can do is to use them as long as possible. And polyester makes them last for a very, very long time. So we use these textiles for 10 years. So I'm very familiar in how to use old bed linen for fashion. So this is the raw material. You can, like this kind of consistency of bed linen can be found also for domestic uses. So you probably have an old bed linen in the wardrobe that you don't want to use anymore. So what you can do with it is that you can just toss it into a washing machine and dye it. You can use natural dyes if you're into that. That's also a very interesting and broad spectrum of working with textiles. So that's also very nice. But this one is dyed with reactive coloring. So like tossing it into a washing machine and washing it actually in black turns it into this gray. And this is because the cotton in the fabric takes the color and the polyester doesn't. So it has this a little bit like melange feeling to it. So the cotton takes all the color and the polyester just a tiny bit. And I really love the way it kind of creates this vivid structure. So it's not plain gray, but it has a little bit of liveliness to it, so to say. So it's this like a melange result that you have there. So this is something that I particularly very much like. So this is now the fabric that I will use for making my Leija pants. What comes with recycled materials are defects also. So when you dye it, it could be that some things that are not shown when it's not dyed will show up when you give it a new color path. So be aware of that. And what I've done here is also that this is kind of the top part of the bed linen. So I cut it already, but you can still see here that the color is lighter compared to the very bottom of the fabric. So there's a slight color difference here that you could see. This means that this part of the bed linen was used more. This is the part where you wrap the bed linen when you have the bed cover on top of you, or also when you're working with the textile for the laundry, for example. So this makes it so that there's less of the cotton left here and more of the polyester. So the consistency of the fabric changes. It used to be 70% cotton and 30% polyester, but now it's probably 50-50 by now. So this is also something that happens when you use textile. The consistency, the composition of the textile changes. The cotton, as it is a natural fiber, it kind of dusts off little by little, and the polyester stays. So this is what we have here. So this is something that you should also consider when cutting, that you don't have pieces that are next to each other where the color difference is the most, but kind of slowly fading it out. What I usually do is that if I have these little spots, also there can be holes, as here. Usually the holes are in the sides of the fabric. I mark them with pins, so when I have it folded, I can also feel them. So that's something to do first, is kind of see all the little defects on the fabric and mark them with pins is the best, because if you fold the fabric, then you can still feel them later on. I basically rip off the sides before I start the cutting. And work with one piece at a time. So when you start cutting your fabric, I usually fold it the wrong ways, facing each other, the right side up. Then I just simply place all the pattern pieces that are not flown away by the wind to the piece of fabric, trying to use it as economically as possible. And what helps there is to put the bigger pieces first, checking the grain line that is directly like it is supposed to be, following the grain line of the fabric, and then placing everything on place, cutting them out, making sure to mark all the notches and everything that is important for the next steps to follow for the sewing.